ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। After the Amrit Mahotsav celebration, or for the Amrit Mahotsav celebration, we had suspended many of our Yajnas, Satsangs, classes, because that was a very huge endeavor. For various reasons, all our energies and resources had to be channelized to that. Now that has been successfully done, it's time to get back on track. There were many people, many organizations, platforms, many groups that made it a grand success. I invoke Puja Gurudev and Bhagwan's blessings on all of them who had made it a grand success. Now to reconnect, rewire ourselves to the Vedanta Shravana. So in the mornings we have the Upanishad classes. In the evening, we will be looking into the Bhagavad Gita. It will be like a Shravana Sadhana series, wherein all 18 chapters will be covered in a systematic order. Though the idea is that 1 week per month we will cover one chapter, invariably there will be at least 2 chapters that I know of by experience that this Shravana Sadhana has been done earlier, like 2nd chapter and 18th chapter, just because of the voluminous size of it, it might take 2 weeks, which means it would take about 2 months to cover it. But we will do it in a systematic order. This morning class will be done Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday we have envisioned something new. 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning we will have the meditation class in the meditation room under the temple, and followed by, meaning about a half an hour gap, then 8 to 9 we will be having the Vedic chanting. The idea is that many of us as adults come to these various festivals, utsavas that we celebrate, but we are a mute witness. We don't participate in it. The least that we can participate is to chant along when the mantras are being chanted. Imagine when we have, this is a Shiva temple here. Imagine we have Shivaratri and we have at least about 11 or 27 or 50 people that sit in the front row and chant the Rudram, Namakam, Chamakam along with the Lagunyasa, maybe Mahanyasa also. So that resounding, reverberating environment can be created. And also various other pujas that we can participate. So Vedic chanting will be there on Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 9 am. And of course on Sunday we have the chick class from 10 to 11. So Sundays, that is how I had designed that when many people would call me on Sundays, I would say, spare the Sundays for me, so that there can be, because when people are on Saturdays and Sundays, when they have holidays, that is when I have seen that I become busy. The rest of the days is not that busy, but Saturdays and Sundays invariably ends up becoming busy. So Saturday and Sunday will be planning to pack the day systematically so that all kinds of age groups can be included in that and everybody can be catered to. So that is the plan of action. So in that new scheme, I wouldn't call it a grand scheme, but new scheme of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, in the mornings we will be starting with Ishavasya Upanishad. Now if you say why Ishavasya Upanishad, there is a shloka. There is a shloka where it says Ishakena Katha Prashna Munda Mandukya Taittiriya Aitreya Chandogya Brihadaranyaka. So in that order, Ishavasya becomes the first one. So Upanishad will be the study. Now getting directly into the topic. In the Vedanta Shravana, we have the Prasthana Trayi. Three. Prasthana, that which is considered as a very systematic study of Vedanta Shastra. This Prasthanatrayi also becomes the pivotal source of Shastra, wherein all the great philosophers who have established various sampradayas, they take it upon themselves to establish their sampradaya in a shastric order based on the Shastra, and they have to write their commentaries on to prove their Siddhanta on these three. So these three are called the Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutras. Of that Prasthanatrayi, we will be tackling at least two of them for now. One is the Upanishad and the second is Bhagavad Gita. Kramena, in slow order, we will reach to that point wherein Brahma Sutras also will be looked into later, way later. Just as the introduction last year when I came about, I started with the Prakarana Granthas, just so that the basics of Vedanta Shastra are grasped or at least touched upon, so that those terminologies, those vocabulary and the Siddhanta behind becomes easier for us to understand. So the Upanishads, the way we have to understand is, in the beginning, if we have a map, when you go into a website, you know that that which you are trying to search is there on that website. Sometimes it is user friendly, very intuitive, that you can easily go into the tabs and the sub tabs. But then at the bottom page of the home page, there is one tab that is provided which is called sitemap. You click that and it gives you the entire matrix or the labyrinth of that website. Which tab, when you click, what comes, and they are all hyperlinked, so you can directly click on that and reach. What we hear about our Shastra is that it is too wide. There's so many things. And some people even conclude that our scriptures, our Shastra is very confusing because there are so many Shastra. So you ask any lay person who is born as a Hindu as to what is the scriptures or the Shastra on which Hinduism is practiced, we will hear multivarious answers. All of them are true, but yet not complete. Some say it is Ramayana, some say it is Mahabharata, many say it is Bhagavad Gita. There are some people that definitely say Veda. Some say Upanishads, some say Vedanta. So there are various answers that people give. So as I said, all of them are true, but yet not very comprehensive or complete. So when you look at the Sanatana Dharma as to how it is explained, our Moola Grantha, the main Shastra, is the Veda. I'll come to this and go into the sequence of how the Veda is to be studied. That Vedic literature is apaurusheya. There is no authorship to it. Therefore, it is called Shruti, that which is heard. Paramparagateena, from Guru to Shishya, Shishya when becomes matured and established in that knowledge, that Shishya then becomes the Guru and teaches to the next generation of students. For example, the parampara that we are an integral part of, Advaita Parampara, in our own lifetimes, many of us have seen 3 in our own immediate parampara. Swarupananji, then Puja Guruji, then Puja Gurudev. Though Puja Gurudev studied under Swami Tapona Maharaj, but the lineage is from Swami Shivananji Maharaj, and he comes from the illustrious lineage of the Sringeri Matha. So we are directly connected to the Shankaracharya Parampara, Advaita Parampara actually, that which was re-established by Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya. So we can connect all the way to Adi Shankaracharya ji. From Adi Shankaracharya ji, then you can go into Govinda Bhagavad Pada, Gauda Pada, then Gauda Pada was taught by, there is a whole lineage. It goes all the way up to Narayana. Or you can take the lineage of Shankaracharya. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. An unbroken lineage of more than 15,000-16,000 years. See, when you go to places like America and other places, they very proudly display historic significance. And you go stand there and read. They have a plaque. You read the plaque. And they say this happened in this very place about 1905. Many places when you visit, there is that historic significance. I used to chuckle to myself that in our villages, I'm not talking of those huge temple structures, our own houses, the ancient heritage houses, they age up to 400, 500, 600 years also, that they have been maintained that way. Now imagine if 100 years, 120 years, people say it is historic significance, unbroken lineage for about 16,000 years. Can you imagine? That has been continuously been practiced. The Guru Shishya Parampara. The Shravana becomes the key there. Therefore, that volume of scripture or Shastra is called Shruti. And the various mantras, the text that comes in it, the Shruti, they are referred to as mantra and not as shloka. Shloka is not apaurushaya, it is something which is authored by somebody. Whereas the mantra is not authored, it is revealed, that knowledge which exists was revealed paramparagaten, through the parampara. After the Shruti, then we have the Smriti Grantha. Smriti Grantha, that which is learnt, remembered and revealed to the next generation. Smriti Grantha also has the beauty that the Vedic literature is abstract in nature. Its application in day-to-day lives in various intersections of responsibilities, how, who, where, when, is clearly established, and it takes the analogical aspect wherein different stories are also intertwined in it. Smriti Grantha. Depending on whose commentary you read, the most famous or infamous Smriti that all of us know. What is that Smriti? Manu Smriti. That's why I said the most famous or the most infamous, depending on whose commentary you read. But one should remember that Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra ji himself belonged to that Manu Vamsha. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivaswan manave praha manuhu ikshvakave abravit. Ikshvaku kula sambhuta. There are so many songs that Tyagaraja Maharshi has written. Who was Ikshvaku's father? Manu. And that Manu, who compiled the do's and don'ts of life, when to do, what to do, how to do, who to do, at what intersection, what responsibilities, all of that being explained, is also called Smriti. There are various Smriti Granthas. One of them is Manu Smriti. There is Parashara Smriti, there is Garga Smriti, there are various Smritis. Smriti Grantha. In fact, I will be touching upon this in the evening. Bhagavad Gita is also called Smriti Grantha, wherein if you specifically look into 14th to 18th chapter, it tells us what is sattvic, what is rajasic, what is tamasic, when to eat, what to eat, how to meditate. 6th chapter gives. So the do's and don'ts are also given in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita can also be considered as a Smriti Grantha. So Shruti, Smriti. The first part of our scriptural labyrinth is the Shruti. The next is Smriti. The third is called the Purana. When I was with the Balavihar children in America, the US, I had to communicate this in the language that they understand. So I used to say, right about that time when I had to speak about this, there was a series of movie that was coming. It was called The Chronicles of Narnia. Very hit movie series with the kids. So I picked from there and I said, we have various expressions of Devi Devatas. The chronicles of each Devi Devata, their expressions, their interactions with devotees, their messages to the devotees, and how the devotee has connected with that Devi or Devata, chronologically chronicled, is called the Purana. Then we have the Itihasa. The word itself says very clearly, Itihasa. Thus, as put in this particular book, had happened and the actuals are being presented. The oldest Itihasa is Ramayana by the Adi Kavi, Maharshi Valmiki, who authored it. And there are, the Bharatavarsha is so beautiful that within one country you have 25 plus languages and their rich heritage. Literature wise, when you look at it into each language, you will find Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Itihasas, written down, penned down in each language. So you have in Avadhi the Tulsi Ramayana, in Telugu you have Molla Ramayanam, then you have Ananda Ramayana, then you have in Tamil the Kamba Ramayana. In my sequence, that Tamil version was not there, but the majority that was sitting in the front row, I saw that they were Tamilians or those who claim themselves to be Tamilians. So I said Kamba Ramayana must be referred to. So Kamba Ramayana. So various languages, these have been penned down, written. So Ramayana is one Itihasa which talks about Bhagavan Rama. And then we have Mahabharata. Mahabharata, which happened about 5130 plus years recent past. In fact, after reading the chronology that is given of various dynasties, not just the Kuru Vamsha, various dynasties that is mentioned, after reading it, the invaders, when they saw that kind of a historical account, they were completely zapped. They were completely shocked. Because according to the history, according to their reference, their history, if they took the older account, not the New Testament, the Old Testament, the older account, their history goes at the most 4,000 years. And here is a chronology given of 5,000 plus. So most of the Wikipedia distortions that you see is the effort for the last 100, 200 plus years, wherein the chronology has been disturbed to such an account wherein the newer generation of the students in Bharatavarsha, when they study, they get completely confused, distorted accounts to a point where they say, we have neglected our history, we don't have proper historical accounts. Needless to say, they have not studied Mahabharata. Maybe compulsively they have watched different versions. The way I was growing up, most of our generation grew up with B.R. Chopra. Atha Shri Mahabharata Katha. कथा है पार्थ की, स्वार्थ की, परमार्थ की. Who was the singer? Mahendra Kapoor. In that singing, it used to start. It took the entire nation by a wave. That was the introduction. Nobody has studied the original Mahabharata or Ramayana. sad that being born in this rich tradition, we haven't tapped into our own works, our own history, our own literature. Now, I wouldn't ask for show of hands as to how many have gone through the entire Mahabharata as written by Veda Vyasa or Ramayana as written by Valmiki Maharshi. There may be one or two hands who have done, front to back. Bhagavad Gita we have not studied, barely 700 slokas. So we say that our history is distorted. No, you look into it and compare it, cross it with the Purana and the various other lineages mentioned. The lineage, continuous, unbroken, this is the only culture in the entire Bhubhaga which is an unbroken heritage where the civilization has continued to exist. It is unbroken civilization. All other civilizations have been broken. The pride and dignity with which we should be associated, connected and imbibe these values is large. So Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa, Purana. Now we come to the Shruti. The entire work is called Veda, that which is ought to be known. The very word says that which is ought to be known. Veda. इसको जानो, తెలుసుకోవలసినటువంటి పదార్థం వేద. Within the Veda there are 4 books. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda or Atharvana Veda. When people have the habit of holding their ears and chanting their entire lineage, it is called Pravara. There we say what Rishi Parampara we belong to, what Veda that we belong to, what Veda Shakha that we belong to. Again, seldom anybody has touched that particular Shakha even. Here I have to mention, I met with somebody here in Hyderabad, Avadhanul garu. He has compiled all these shakhas and a beautiful work of all these shakhas. It probably took him about 18-19 years to compile and get it printed. So the Veda, Veda Shakha, Veda Upashakha, the Rishi Parampara. So when we chant, we say Yajush Shakhadhyayi, Sama Veda Shakhadhyayi, whichever Shakha that we belong to. That, those who studied one Shakha, they were called Vedi or Bedi. 2 Shakhas, Dvivedi. 3 Shakhas, Trivedi. The entire Chaturvedi. Just like the kings have been left with titles, Raju, we are also left with only titles. And the entitlement that goes with it. The Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. Again there is a distortion wherein people would like to date date the scripture. So in that dating process, again, Wikipedia or any other source that you look into which has a Western lens onto our scriptural labyrinth, they call it the Indic studies. So in that Indic sense, they say Rig Veda is the oldest, about 3,500 years. Again, why? Because their history starts at 4,000. How can anything be older than that? Therefore, it has to be, okay, we'll give it credit that it is older, 3,500 years. Consolation prize. And many, when we quote this kind of wisdom, which I call WhatsApp wisdom. I say the Rig Veda is the oldest, it is about 3,500 years old. We call this as the Sanatana Purana. Purana here is not the volume of work of the Ashtadasha Purana, Ashtadasha Upa Purana. We are not talking about that. Purana means Pura Apinava. Ancient wisdom which is ever fresh. So let us not fall into the trap of trying to limit ourselves in these timelines. It is ancient and the most profound wisdom that is. Now in the Vedic literature, each book, each Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda has various themes of study. Each theme of study is called Samhita. So beautiful, that name itself. Samyak Hitakaram. That which does absolute good comprehensively, Samyak. The theme is called Samhita. Within each Samhita, it is further broken down into 4 aspects. The first part is called Mantra. The second is called Brahmana. It is not the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That is not the classification here. The first is Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka is the third one, and the fourth one is called Upanishad. Mantra, Mananat Trayate iti mantraha. That by contemplating on which it reveals that knowledge, thereby it uplift Trayate. In simple language, I call it as formula. Sets of formulas gathered for that particular theme of study is called mantra. Those who have become experts at its application, the expertise is called Brahmana. The second part. There were some who were genuinely interested, intellectually sparked. They wanted to do further research into that particular theme of study. So they went into solitude to meditate upon, to contemplate upon those mantras and brahmanas. And because they went into the solitude, and the solitude was in the forest is called Aranya. Therefore, the wisdom that is born in that solitude of Aranya, the forest, that volume of work within that Samhita is called Aranyaka. Research. PhD, postdoc, that is called Aranyaka. Any theme of study, when subtly observed, grasped, understood and practiced, should lead us to the nugget of wisdom, the source of the very state of being. That when they understood and experienced as their own self, that wisdom is called Upanishad. That Upanishad, because in the scheme of how the Vedic literature has been laid out, falls at the very end. Therefore, it is the anta, the end of the Vedic literature. That voluminous work of Upanishad is aka also known as Vedanta. So that is where these Upanishads occur. Upanishad, that very word, it has three parts to it. Upa, Ni and Sat. When Sa follows Ni, it becomes Sha, and by another rule it becomes Sha. Therefore, it becomes Upanishad. Upa meaning getting very close to. Ni, Nishchayena. Nishchayena, firmly, without any confusion. Getting close to, firmly, in what? In that Sat Vastu, which happens to be your true nature. Upanishad. Imagine that different themes of study, Samhita, all end in this wisdom of the self, which the very title Upanishad suggests. Meaning no work is beneath. Any kind of study, it should lead us, if we have properly, studiously studied through that, should lead us to this wisdom. In the Sama Veda, there are various Upanishads, various Samhitas, so therefore there is different Upanishads in that, and amongst them, one of the smallest, there is another Upanishad which is smaller than this. It is the Mandukya Upanishad, which has only 12 mantras. Ishavasya Upanishad has 18 mantras. Some see the 18 number and immediately connect it. Each chapter of Bhagavad Gita is an explanation of these 18 mantras of Ishavasya Upanishad. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. The essence of it is definitely reflecting in Bhagavad Gita. It is not chapter wise, mantra wise reflection. Let us understand that also. So this Upanishad, it ends with it starts with the Shanti mantra. Every Upanishad has a Shanti mantra. This Upanishad starts with the Shanti mantra, which is usually in Chinmaya Mission tradition, we chant it at the very end. So when I chant this, don't get up and leave. See, before I start chanting this Shanti mantra, for you all to repeat, the magnanimity of our rishis has to be acknowledged and recognized. How beautiful each Shanti mantra is. How universally applicable is this Shanti mantra. They did not say anywhere, in any Shanti mantra. See, one of the things that we chant which comes from Ramayana is Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. They were always universal in their approach. They could have said, Sarve Haindavaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Which is what you will find in the... I did not say it, he said it. That if you follow this God, this book, only they. No. It said everybody, every species, every organism, not just human being. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. May everybody, everything, sukhinaha bhavantu. One of the things that we all go through is physically, emotionally, intellectually, there is a lot of ruptures, frictions that happen. Amaya. Amaya means not at ease, disease. Niramaya. Bring them back to balanced health at all levels. And again, it is survey. Whoever with whatever background, whatever be the classification that we have, doesn't matter. May everybody. That is the magnanimity with which the rishis, our parampara, thinks about. So in this Shanti mantra, please repeat after me. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purna Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevava Sishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The first round I chanted it not based on Sandhi Vicheda, just by the ease of pronunciation. So now chant it together. After I chant each line of the mantra, you repeat after me. And observe that there is a slight variation of what we usually chant and what it should be chanted as. If you want a reference, go to YouTube, go to the end of that Guruji's talk. When he is chanting Purnamadaha, you will see that what you are acclimatized to chant and what Guruji is chanting is slight variation. We should quickly adapt to that variation. Because the Veda mantra should be chanted as Veda mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. You got the variation? Most of us are acclimatized in chanting it as Purnaat. There is no Plutaswara there. Take any Vedic chanting book. You will find that it is Purnat and not Purnaat. Can we consciously practice to change that? Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadaha. Those of you who want to avail a copy of this, if you already don't have it, please don't disturb now. Ramesh, they will collect it afterwards. It is there in that corner. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnam Adaha. Adaha, that. That is Purnam. Since we are in Hyderabad, this is not the Purnam that goes into the Buralu and Bobbatlu. Maybe it was named like that based on this Purnam, but it is not that Purnam. You know the filling that goes in? Purnam, that which is complete unto itself. That, now when we say that, it is always a referential point. It has both the time and space referred to, depending on how close or how far it is. On a beautiful full moon day, that moon, this earth, that USA, this India, that Delhi, this Hyderabad, that ground outside, this hall. It's always a reference point. That which shows distance based on time and space. For all of us, most of us, when we refer to Bhagavan, it is not an immediate intrinsic experience. We always refer to Bhagavan as that. That also indicates that which I have not experienced. That which I have already experienced doesn't become that anymore. It becomes this. So lack of experience of the intricate reality, therefore we refer to that truth, that completeness unto itself as that. Now here, that is referring to Ishvara, that Bhagavan, who is the very substratum, is complete unto itself. Purnam idam. Oh, Bhagavan alone, Ishvara alone is complete unto himself. We are incomplete. No. Idam, this is also Purnam. That Ishvara, who is the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana of this Srishti, the Srishti is also Purna. And all the individuals who are an intrinsic part of this creation are also Purna. That is Purna. This is also Purna. Therefore, we say that this entire Srishti is an expression of that Paramatma Chaitanya alone in multi-various forms. It's the same, but in a different expression. I always refer to this how many of you have a different name? In home you have a different name, in office you have a different name, your friends call you with a different name. People have such, right? How many of you have such names? We all have it, right? Whenever you have to introduce yourself to somebody new, what is the name that which you usually introduce yourself as? Your actual name, isn't it? For all practical purposes, we say Vishnu Sahasranama. The name itself says the 1,000 names of Bhagavan Vishnu. So officially what is his name? Vishnu. So what should it start with? The Vishnu Sahasranama. It should start with Vishnu. But when you look at the first shloka, the first introduction of the names, it doesn't start with Vishnu. It starts with Vishwam. Vishwam Vishnurvashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Because for us, Vishnu is a conceptual idea, that's all. Not an experience. But what is an immediate experience? Is this Srishti Vishwam. So where is that Vishnu? Where is that Bhagavan? Where is that Ishvara? In and through everything that which I interact is nothing but an expression of that Paramatma Chaitanya alone, Vishwam. Vividha Rupena Vividhatvat, that which is expressing in various formats. That Vibhu, that Prabhu expressing in Vividhatva is called Vishwam. Purnam Idam. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Key point in this mantra. From that completeness, completeness alone can express. Incompleteness cannot be an expression. Why? He says the Siddhanta in the next line. He says, Purnasya Purnam Adaya. When you take from the completeness, anything that which you take out of that completeness has to technically remain Purna, complete alone. When you read real number analysis, it's not like the regular usage of the numbers in our day-to-day life. It's a very fascinating field, the real number analysis. The book that I was reading, it says in the very first introduction that all the numbers that which we have are arbitrary numbers. Why? You cannot ascertain a value called 1 or 2 or 3. Why? He says, from 0 to 1, there are how many fractions, how many decimal points? When you say infinite is the possibility, how can that be called as 1? For utilitarian purposes, if we do call it as 1, then it becomes arbitrary and not real. Because infinite is the possibility between 0 and 1. If you learn real number analysis and try applying it in practical life, you will go nuts. So accordingly, there is a 1 plus 1 is infinite. Because the possibilities are infinite. So infinity is infinite only when something taken away from that infinite, it still remains infinite. First. Second, that which you have seemingly taken away from it also has to be infinite. If at all you ever think that from the infinite, if you could take away finitude, that means that which you have assumed as infinite, from which you have taken this, was never infinite in first place. Mathematically. So that Siddhanta is being applied and said, if something has expressed from that infinite, it cannot be finitude. It also has to be infinite alone. Therefore, very mathematically, in younger days when we used to learn algebra, and we used to have 3 dots, right? Like a triangle. And the inverted triangle. Hence, therefore, so 3 dots, therefore, each one of us is nothing but that infinite waiting to be recognized as infinite by one's own self. There is no finitude. Wherever there is finitude, that becomes the cause for separation, division. Wherever there is division, dvayat bhayam bhavati. And bhayam is mrityu. Most of all of our suffering is because of this divisive existence. That which is infinite, not cognizing it as infinite, we live in divisive existence, and that divisive existence is the cause for all our sorrow. So when Gurudev started this mission, he did not arbitrarily put the mission motto to give maximum happiness to the maximum number for the maximum time. If I may add, in the only shortest method is by Shravana Manana Nididhyasana of this Vedanta Vichara, which reveals my nature as that Paramananda alone. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Every time we chant Shanti mantra, we chant 3 times. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika Tapa. There are various kinds of Tapa that we have. Tapa means that which creates heat. Heat is generated in friction. Wherever there is friction, friction can be at 3 different levels. Adi Bhautika, in the physical realm. I come to this satsang daily. Somebody is sitting in my seat. Right at the entrance of satsang, friction created. Next 1 hour, 1.5 hours of that satsanga, that tapa is generated. Adi Bhautika Tapa. I wanted to come to satsanga. But then it poured down heavily. All I have is a two-wheeler. I could not travel. So that day there was a tapa and hindrance to my Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, the satsanga. So that got stopped. Adi Daivika tapa, that's not in my hands. Daivika. Adhyatmika. Weather is beautiful, opportunity is there. Pamphlets, flyers, the e-format, everything has gone to all the houses, all the apartments, banners, everything has been published. And yet, we look at it, पता नहीं इन स्वामियों को और कोई काम धंधा नहीं होता है. सवेरे सवेरे 6:30. Who even gets up at 6:30? आध्यात्मिक ताप, lethargy, procrastination. Oh, this is going to be all month. एक दिन जाऊंगा सत्संग का पुण्य का फल. I don't want too much of punya. Little punya is sufficient. One day I will go in that 1 month. That is also adhyatmika, lethargy, procrastination, all these negativities from within. So 3 kinds of tapa for all the individuals. May they have this tapa prashamana. Therefore, shanti, shanti, shanti. Another way is also seen that sharirika, manasika, bauddhika tapa. For that shanti also, this can be said. Jagrat, swapna, sushupti, tapa. That wherever that triputi is there, that shanti, om shanti, shanti, shanti. We will continue with it tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.